Hi, this is Raleigh Vander. So people have been asking me for ages if I can do a video on how I put the colored satin in my wand boxes like this. This is Xenophilius' wand, by the way. And so what I do is I start by choosing a color that I think fits the character's personality. So for Xenophilius, I chose yellow because that's one of his favorite colors, and because yellow is a slightly weird color, slightly crazy, which Xenophilius is. So anyways, this is my tutorial on how to do it. So I'm doing it with Narcissa Malfoy's wand. So choosing the color, sometimes it doesn't really matter what color, but I like it to be a color that relates to the character somehow. So for this one, I've chosen this gray. So I pretty much start by taking the name clip out, and at the very end I'm going to put it underneath here. But anyways, what I do to start, let's just move these out of the way, is I pick a piece of fabric that is longer than it, like long enough that you can wrap it up like this at both ends, and that you can do this. Some wands you need bigger pieces of fabric because it depends on how much wand actually sinks into it down there. So anyways, once you've chosen your color and your piece of fabric, it doesn't really matter what fabric as long as it's reasonably thin fabric, and I like satin because it's shiny. You can get any cheap fabric. And it doesn't actually matter what part of the fabric it is. Like, it's actually starting to fray along here. You can use just any old satin. So, you might not have to do this if you've taken care of your fabric or sewn up the edges. You can sew up the edges if you want. But I'm just going to start by quickly cutting off these spare threads along here, because otherwise you'll be able to see them, or some of them at the very end, which just doesn't look as nice. Here's my silvery gray fabric. It's nicer and shinier on one side. It looks really, really shiny on the camera, but it's not as shiny as it looks. So there's a really nice side, ugly side, like most fabrics have. And also, you probably noticed that it's actually really, really wrinkly, which normally would drive me crazy, and I would like lay it out, try to flatten it or iron it or something, because well, wrinkly fabric just doesn't always look as nice. But actually, when you're making these wands, these wand box linings, sorry, it actually does look very cool if it's a little bit wrinkly. Also, I like to choose a color that the wand will show up against. Like if I had chosen black for this wand, well, you would see this easily in this, but it wouldn't look as nice on the shaft. So yeah, I think it's best if you choose one that is dark. So start by turning the fabric upside down, and then you take out your this plastic thing. Oh, I forgot to mention, the reason I'm doing this is partly because this, like, faux velvet, it's just not very nice looking. And also because it's quite common to get one that's cracked. Like, I've had more than one wand come with cracked plastic there. So, anyways, just noticed a bit more threads I missed. So you start by having this, and then you take it and lay it over top so that it's about even, with a little bit more at the handle than at the shaft. Lay it over top like that, and if it doesn't completely cover it almost perfectly, then your fabric is probably too small. Now, as a test to see if the fabric's big enough, press the wand into it. Now, if you look over here, see it's all bunched up, so what you do is you pull it over, and then now it's reasonably even. And you do that all over, so make sure that it's even on both sides. It doesn't really matter if it's a little bit twisted in some places, but because that can actually make a pretty neat effect. And also along here, it's going to have these folds in it, which I actually think make it look cool. That's one of the reasons why I have no problem with it being a little bit wrinkled. So yeah, I don't usually do this, but if you want, you can tape it to make sure that it will actually stay nicely. So just in a few spots, and lower it down so that you can't see it, just like that. If you look there. But don't make it tight. It has to be a little bit loose, otherwise the wand won't sit in it very nicely. So just do that in a couple of spots, like even just 4 spots would be fine. So there's all this extra fabric here. You can just tuck that under if you want, or you can cut it off. It's pretty much your choice. It doesn't make a huge difference, but you have to make sure that it's properly tucked under, because otherwise it'll start to stick up like this and it just won't look nice. The corners are another spot that I'd recommend you tape, like not to the plastic, but just a little bit of tape right down here like this to hold it tight. And so yeah, I'm almost finished. Just do it up here as well. A bit of tape there. And a bit over here. Once again, make sure it doesn't get too tight anywhere. So this is about right, since it's loose enough that the wand can sit in it gently, but tight enough that it's not bunching up too much, or sort of floating around. Another thing is, there's this little hollow there that's meant to hold this clip. But if you do this, then you probably won't be able to see it very well, which I think makes it look a little bit nicer. Anyways, so this can take a bit of time. In fact, it takes a bit longer if you decide to do the taping, but it's also likely to look nicer if you tape it. So it's really up to you, but I would recommend taping it, at least for your very first time, so you can understand how it works. It's not really that hard once you've got the idea of it. So there, that's pretty good. I just want to put one more piece right over here. So there we go. So it's pretty tight everywhere, but still, like I said, loose enough that it's not going to like lift the wand up. Like if you have to push on the wand to make it go down all the way, then that means it's way too tight. Anyways, there we go. And if you look under here, it's sticking out a little bit. So I'm just going to really quickly take the wand out and turn it over just to make sure that the tape is actually doing something remotely useful. And to add a little bit more tape along edges such as these that don't fold over. So yeah, it takes a lot of tape if you want to do it with tape, but if you don't want to use tape, it works just as well. So yeah, also if you use tape, you can actually make little folds in it if you want, sort of like that, just to add a little bit of like extra texture to it, but it doesn't really matter. So here we go. Now it's come out under here, like you can see that, which means that it should sink in nicely and in a slightly different way now. And there we go. So that looks pretty nice. Now we bring out the bottom again. So some boxes, you might have trouble finding a place to put this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look under here, because there's a big gap there. So I put this in there, then gently drop it all in. This is the only place that taping it actually makes a difference. Because now, if I hadn't taped it, it would have pushed it all off when I put it in. So you might have to shift it around a little bit to make sure that this piece fits, like I have to do right there. And squeeze it in nicely. And there you go. Keeps the wand safe. It looks nicer. And so yeah, if anyone has any questions or I didn't show something clear enough, just let me know. Thanks. Bye.